Hey guys, this is a production of the J&J Media, brought to you by Minute Peach Framing Designs and Gift Shops. What's up, guys? Welcome to the 12th episode of the J&J Sports Talk. I'm your host, Jordan Dorosic, and we got our co-hosts, Christian and Thomas. We got a lot to talk about today, so let's get to it. So we're going to start off with the Packers. They defeated the Bears per usual, but it didn't come without some controversy. Not controversy, but it was a close up into the end, and the mayor of Chicago came through. So we'll go off with Shady. Give us your thoughts about the mayor of Chicago, Aaron Rodgers coming back like usual.
Oh man, I don't know what it is when it comes to Aaron Rodgers and the Chicago Bears, but he has definitely got Chicago's number. I mean, I would have to look up and see how many consecutive wins it is now. I know it's been quite a few, and Chicago, man. I mean, even when Chicago had had Mac. They still couldn't take down that when they had Mac, and they had a really good defense. A couple of years ago, they still couldn't stop Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. I don't know what it is, man. That Aaron Rodgers, he like he said, he owns Chicago. I mean, that's what else can you say?
Yeah, he does own Chicago. I mean, I don't remember the last time he lost, but Clashman, just give us your insights about the game. We
Yeah,
were at Hooters watching the game, and then a bunch of Bear fans weren't so happy.
yeah. I wish I could have stayed to see the reaction at the end because the Packers did come back, but I think Rodgers is 32-5 against them all time. I don't know how many consecutive wins he has or his
Wow.
record there in Chicago, but Rodgers definitely owns the Bears. He's the mayor of that town. Uh, I, it was a shock. I honestly thought the Bears were gonna pull it off because they had at least a 2 or 3 possession lead going into the fourth quarter, but Rodgers just made one of his typical comebacks.
Do you see the Packers trading Rodgers anytime soon, or is it just going to be they're going to stick with Jordan, or they're going to go with Jordan Love later down the road and get him going, or they're just going to focus on Aaron Rodgers for the now part?
Uh, it would be I don't know. They paid Rodgers all that money. I mean, it would be hard to leave, but there is some serious talk about him actually leaving because you brought in Jordan Love, what 2, 3 drafts ago, and you can't just sit him for the next 4 years. That's kind of a waste of young talent. But I mean, if Rodgers keeps playing the way he's playing, like if he's good, I guess keep him. But if they're continuing to be bad like they are this season, I mean, get rid of him, I guess, and try to profit while you can. So they can probably get some good draft picks from him as of right now.
Shady, do you think they're going to trade Aaron Rodgers anytime soon, or they're going to go with Jordan Love, or stick with Aaron Rodgers?
Well, we hit on this last week in a podcast, and I spoke on it last week, as far as moving on or sticking with Aaron Rodgers. Now, like to basically repeat what I said last week, and what Clashin just hit on is that their future is Jordan Love. And when he came off the bench last week, when Rodgers busted his ribs up and looked really good, looked really comfortable. Jordan Love is the Packers' future, and like I said last week, the past 2 seasons, the Packers went to the NFC Championship game and lost both of them, but they got there. So you had to go, you had to try it a third time. You had to try to be third time lucky and get back to the NFC Championship game and try to get over that hump into the Super Bowl with Rodgers. You had to try that. I mean, you just, I mean, They had to. Like I said, unfortunately, it's not working out that way this year. So if I'm the Packers, yes, I'm absolutely trading them. Jordan Love is the future. The future is now. That's Green Bay is is a win now organization. They do have some weapons. I think they need to get some get get whoever's a quarterback some weapons on the outside in the receiver class. But they do have a solid team. So I'm saying, yeah, I would after the season, I'm going to trade Rodgers because he does have draft value, obviously. So you can get some value for him, which you can use on some weapons for Jordan Love, and then, like I said, you go with your future.
Do you think they're going to have a shot at the playoffs if they go on a good run towards the end of the season, or it's just going to stall out because of the other teams having a better performance throughout the season so far?
I think I mean anything is possible, I mean anything can happen on any given Sunday. So they're definitely not out of the mix, just yet. So anything is possible, and yeah, they could go on a run and make a run for it, but you got all four teams in the NFC East with better records than the Packers. And I know Washington has beaten them, so they got a tiebreaker there. I'm not sure if Philly and Dallas, I think, has beat them, didn't they? Didn't
No,
Dallas beat Green Bay?
no.
No, Green Bay beat them. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, and I had no idea about Philly and the Giants and what they did against Packers. But either way, the teams in the East, all hold better records. So yeah, absolutely. They could go on a run. I personally I don't see it because you also look into the West where you have San Francisco and Seattle fighting for the crown of the West, and both of them, I believe, they have better records than the Packers as well. So right now, the Packers have an uphill battle to get in the playoffs. But sure, it's still possible when you have the 2-time reigning MVP of the league at your in your quarterback's position. Certainly, anything is possible.
Okay, we're going to move on into the Bengals versus Chiefs game as the Bengals took home the win over Patrick Mahomes for the third straight time in the past two seasons. So, question for Clashin is the Bengals getting hot at the right moment like they did towards last season, or it's going to go? I don't know. Is it going to go in the right direction to how it did last season? That's the main question.
Uh, yeah, I guess it's shaping up like it did last season. Maybe Joe Burrow could be the mayor of Kansas City here pretty soon, just like Aaron Rodgers did with Chicago. The Bengals, I wouldn't say like they're the better team. It's just they have the Chiefs number. I don't know. Depends who the Chiefs play in the first two rounds because they're gonna have to travel. Like I don't know if they're gonna. They could, I guess, win the division with the Ravens struggling, but they're gonna need some help. But I'm, I think there's a good chance they at least make it to the AFC Championship game.
How does it feel knowing that the Bengals are having success and y'all aren't, as a Steelers fan, having success because y'all beat them in the first game of the season?
Yeah, we beat them. That was kind of when we didn't really have identity on offense. I mean, we had quarterback we traded for, which we kind of had to use, and then we had a young quarterback who really struggled the first 4 or 5 weeks. Our defense did look good, and then TJ got hurt, and that just kind of ruined our momentum. But we did beat them week one, and then we played them tough, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, whenever it was. So, I mean, there is hope that if we can play the Bengals good, we should have a chance to win every game.
Do you have a good feeling that you are going to win every game, or it's just going to?
I We'll save the Steelers talk for the next segment. If we ever touch on the Steelers.
Okay, yeah. We'll touch up on the Steelers a little later. Shady, yes. Is the Bengals going to go on a run like they did last year?
I've been saying for the past several weeks, watch out for the Bengals. That the Bengals are getting hot again, and I love it how they beat Kansas City because I can't stand Kansas City. So I definitely enjoyed watching Burrow win beat Kansas City for the third time within the last year. So they're looking good, man. They are looking really, really good. They got a two-headed monster at the running back spot, and probably, arguably, the best group of receivers in the NFL. And that defense is stifling, man. The Cincinnati Bengals, man. I think they're getting hot at the right time, just like they did last year. They're looking good.
Yeah, I go with Clashing earlier. He said that some teams just have their number, and I believe the Bengals just have the Chiefs' number, and they're just gonna get a win or do something that just upsets that team in other ways that other teams can't. But to go in on a run towards the Super Bowl like how they did last year, I don't know really so much about that. I think they could do something, maybe get to the divisional. I don't know about going to the AFC Championship because you definitely have the Bills, the Ravens, Dolphins, also the Chiefs again. So it's gonna be a tough road for them. But I'm not saying it's out the window, but it's definitely there. So we're gonna move on into the Giants and Commanders game, which ended up in a tie. Who likes ties? Do you like ties, Shady?
No, not in the NFL. No, absolutely not. Especially in the NFL, I think it's absolutely stupid to play 1 5-minute overtime
10 minutes.
and then call it a game. I think that is absolutely stupid, and the NFL needs to amend that. And make it at least a 10 or a 15-minute overtime session. Because ties are just no, I do not like ties. No, absolutely not.
It is currently 10 minutes. It used to be 15 minutes, and they brought it back down to 10.
Okay, well, I think that it was only 5.
No, there's no overtime game that's 5 minutes.
Okay. Oh,
I think that just shows that the Commanders just can't score in 10 minutes.
What?
Yeah, I mean they gave them 10 extra minutes and they couldn't score.
Even though that Heineke 2 or 3 times led game-winning drives and scored within the last minute of the game.
Why couldn't he do
several
another?
Times.
Why couldn't he get another drive to go win the game? All he needed was a field goal, a couple of drives.
Yeah, hey, yeah, you're right, and they actually did have it in the Giants' territory, and were just right there at the cusp of a field goal range. They were actually in field goal range, and then they had a stupid holding penalty that took them out of field goal range, so they had to punt it. But they were there to kick a field goal. They just had a stupid holding penalty and took them out.
Do you think this hurts or helps your playoff chances? Because y'all were in the wild card, but then that tie knocked y'all out. So because Seattle won their game against the Rams and booted y'all out to the 8th seed, and they're now 7th
Seattle jumped the Giants.
Yeah,
with the tie.
So they're the 6th seed right now.
Are always bad.
The Giants are the 7th seed right now.
Yes.
Yes.
I need to go check my sources real quick. But answer the question: Does it help or hurt your Redskins?
It hurts. It hurts.
And it does hurt, and it hurts emotionally as well.
Hurts. It hurts. From the record standpoint, it absolutely hurts because now, if the Giants win this week against Philly, then they will be one game. They'll have one game, but they'll be 8-4-1, where the Redskins will be 7-5-1. So if the Giants win this week against Philly,
The Giants
then
are
they're
6th seed
ahead.
currently, and the Seattle 7th seed. So I
Right.
don't know where
Well, if the
Clashin's getting his
Giants win
sources from.
well, if the Giants win this week, then they're one game better than the Redskins, and so that would not be. And then uh, the Giants and the Redskins play each other the next week, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday again. So, that's that's going to be another huge game for both teams, but makes it a very very big game for New York this week against Philadelphia.
I don't
It's
think it's as.
almost a must win for New York.
I don't really think so because they're not even in the. Because they're currently in the 6th seed right now, and Seattle's in the 7th seed. So you mainly need Seattle to help you out with some losses or something during y'all's bye week. It's not so much
Yeah,
New York and the
I need
catbird
see.
seat.
We definitely need Seattle. We need Seattle and New York both to lose.
No, you just need Seattle to lose because that's who you are really going up against.
Well, it helps us better if they both lose.
It helps the Cowboys as well as if the Giants win against the Eagles.
Absolutely. As far as a division aspect, if they want to have any chance of winning division, absolutely.
We'll get to the division
Personally,
talk later.
if Dallas and Washington, I think, sit in the same seat in a situation of almost wanting Philadelphia, both teams wanting Philadelphia. I mean, Philadelphia is still sitting there with only one loss. Um, so giving the Giants another loss this week would only help Dallas and Washington both. So if I'm Dallas and Washington, I'm almost kind of just hoping that that New York loses this week, because if New York wins this week, then that's going to make it harder for both teams and put more pressure on both teams to win their next game.
I don't think Cowboys have any pressure to go have a certain team go lose because they're in the 5th place seed, and plus they have a tiebreaker over the Giants with the head-to-head. So there's no word from the Cowboys side. We're just rooting.
Well, you're right. I mean, that's a good point to make, and especially when Dallas has two very easy games coming up in the next 2 weeks, with the 1-10 Houston Texans this Sunday, and then Jacksonville the following Sunday. So
that'll lock them in the playoffs right there. That's all
yeah.
they need is 2 more wins, and that's 2 wins right in the bag.
Basically, yeah, you can almost kind of put, hey, anything can happen on any given Sunday. I mean, one injury to Dak, and it,
Hey, we ain't wishing injury on anybody. We ain't saying injury to nobody. All right.
I'm not wishing any injury. I'm saying if
why are we bringing it up?
One injury, huh?
Why are we bringing injuries up?
Because I mean, I'm just saying. I mean, one injury away for all these teams, really. I mean, if
specifically
something were to happen to
Cowboys?
Jalen Hurts, I mean, if they can
you're
stay
targeting-
healthy, and that's with any team in the league, if they can stay healthy.
All right, we'll move on to Clashin because we need to get his insight on the tie.
On the tie, as a football fan, I hate ties. If I was I don't even know how I would take this. And let's say I was a fan of the Giants or the Redskins. It's like, did we win or did we lose? And that's the thing with the players. Like, did we win or did we lose? Like, what are we? I think overtime should just be unlimited. That's my opinion. I don't care if the game takes 10 hours. We need a winner.
All right, so that's all you got for the game?
That's all I got because I didn't watch that game.
Yes, you did.
Did I? Not really.
Yes, we watched the ending of the game.
Did we? No, we didn't.
Yes, we did. We watched the field goal come short.
Oh, we saw that part.
So we watched the game. Okay. All right. Next topic. We're moving on to the Cowboys versus the Colts. They had a franchise record with 33 points in the fourth quarter, absolutely blowing out the Colts there. It was a 2-point lead going into the fourth, but then all hell broke loose. So, Shady, your favorite team. Let's hear about it. What's your take on it?
Poor Colts. Poor Colts. They were there, man. They were there. The turnovers killed them. Got to give it to Dallas. Dallas, they played a good team, or they played a good game, I should say. They played a good
Oh,
game.
they're not a good team now.
No, I said that I miss. Don't get my words. I said like I told you the other night that they are a good team. They are a good offense.
Who's a good team?
They have a very good defense. Dallas is a very good team. Cannot take that away from them at all. Um, I don't care who you are, and we discussed this a little bit the other night. I don't care who you are. You turn the ball over as many times as the Colts did that led directly to points. One of them being a fumble return for a touchdown, one interception being returned to the 10-yard line, which they scored like 2 plays later, and another interception being returned, which Dallas ended up getting points off of that as well. I don't care who you are, what team you are in the NFL, you turn it over 3 times to lead to points in all 3 turnovers, you're not going to win many games. And especially when you're the Indianapolis Colts and you got Matt Ryan as your quarterback, you are not going to win many games doing that. Now, that being said, whether they're forced turnovers or whether that they were just dumb turnovers on the Colts' part, it's neither here nor there. It sucks for the Colts because they were in it right there at halftime, and then turnovers just gave Dallas momentum, all the momentum that they needed. They're playing at home on was it It was Sunday night, Sunday night football. So the second half, everything just went Dallas's way. And when you're a good team like Dallas, that's also a game that they're supposed to win. Just like the next 2 weeks against Houston and Jacksonville. Those are games that they're supposed to win. We'll see if they do, but those are games they're supposed to win because they are obviously much, much better than both Houston and Jacksonville. But yeah, it sucks for the Colts, man, because I like Jeff Saturday, and I like some of the players on the Colts. So it definitely sucks for the Colts. But yeah, that's all. Pretty much all I can say on to sum that all up.
Clashing, your take on the game? You were there live in person as a Cowboys fan.
We weren't. Okay, sure. We'll say we're a Cowboys fan that night, but yeah, it was a good game. I mean, the Colts were looking like they might have pulled up the upset. Even you were nervous sitting beside me. You're a little bit of nervous there, third quarter. And then the Dallas defense just took over. I mean, they had that one pass to the tight end, which I think it was a lucky turnover. He just came up in his blind spot and just punched the ball out, which that's the tight end's fault. But all the other interceptions, that backup cornerback, he made plays. Those weren't just gimme interceptions. He actually ripped the ball out of the hands for those turnovers. Like, those were good defense right there. But yeah, 33 points, 1 quarter. That's a lot.
Is that Cowboys I mean, not. Is it Colts implosion or Cowboys dominance?
I think it was Cowboy dominance because it wasn't like Matt Ryan just choked, make bad decisions. Like, he was making good decisions, I thought, all night. Like, whenever he was in danger, he just threw the ball away, and the crowd wanted intentional grounding and all that stuff. But he was being smart all night, not too many bad throws or anything. It's just the Cowboys just made best of what they had. I mean, they definitely showed that they were a good defensive team in the fourth quarter.
Is it Cowboys dominance or Colts implosion, Shady?
I could chalk it up to both. Like I said, you have that many turnovers, that's implosion in its finest. But Dallas, capitalized on those turnovers in a dominant way. So you got them. I got to mark it. I got to chalk it up to both.
All right, so this is my opinion. This is why I don't call it the Colts implosion, because it wasn't like the Colts, were making mistakes. They were like It was just the Cowboys made plays. It wasn't like they were mistakes where Matt Ryan just missed a pass and they got intercepted. Like they were good throws.
He did miss a pass and get intercepted, and you fumble the ball. That is a mistake.
Oh yeah, on that sack he did. That was a mistake. But those 2 interceptions there late with I don't know what number he was, JWoww, but
Bland.
those were good they were good interceptions.
Yeah, that last one, he basically just stripped it out of his hands. Yeah, so what were we saying
So
about the Cowboys?
That's not a mistake on the receiver's part.
Okay, so we could say no. Oh, we could say any type of turnover is always a mistake on the offense. Then I mean, we're never going to give credit to the defensive for forcing turnovers. Then we could say that for almost any turnover that a defense can get.
I mean, you can, like the Travis Kelce strip. The Bengals, they really muscled that ball out of Travis Kelce's hand.
Oh, that's Kelce's fault. Then we're not going to give the defense credit for getting that strip. Then
no, I think you got to give credit on both. You got to give the fact
that you got to pick one. Pick one. I could pick both on either.
I think you got to give. I think you got to chalk it up on both sides of the border there. I think it is a mistake that he didn't wrap the ball up tight enough, but the defense did do what they needed to do as far as what they're supposed to do. They're supposed to strip the ball. They're supposed to wrestle the ball away. That's what a defense is supposed to do. The defense's job is to get the ball back for the offense, to stop the offense stop the other team from scoring and get the ball back for your offense. That is the job of the defense. So they did their job. So absolutely, it's on every single turnover for the most part. You know, I'm sure we could find one where it would be more sided than others, but either way, a turnover is going to be a mistake on somebody, but it's also a good play by somebody on the defensive side that did what they needed to do to force that turnover.
Okay. We'll move on because I don't want to get stuck on this Cowboys. We'll get to later. We'll move on to the Eagles versus Titans game. They basically dominated the whole game. They had A.J. Brown's revenge game, coming back to his old team, and just flat out literally running over the competition as he scored one of his touchdowns, just plowing over the cornerback. So, Clashon, give us your thoughts on this big game that they just took over.
Yeah, I was wrong. I was thinking the Titans were a good team, which I do think they are a good team. So I thought the Titans would be. It was pretty close at halftime, but the Eagles just dominated. It was a good game by A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts. He threw the ball a lot. He showed he could run and pass the ball. A good game. The only thing I didn't like about the game was the Titans player. It was one player. I don't remember his name, but he was literally trying to hurt everyone on the Eagles. He was just gator rolling ankles for no reason. He should be fined, in my opinion.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of crazy fines, like celebrations, jumping in the kettle. They're getting fined, but people are gator rolling their legs and nothing's happening to them. So, Shady, you watch any part of the game? It was a pretty one-sided game for the most part. Shady, you got a copy?
I didn't watch. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I didn't watch. I didn't watch the Philly Tennessee game at all. It wasn't in my area, so I didn't see a minute of that other than just the highlights. But from what I saw the highlights and from the analysts that I was watching on NFL Network and everything, that yeah, I mean Philly just dominated Tennessee, which is surprising actually because Tennessee, is now 7-5, and they're a good team that should get into the playoffs. If not, they should win their division. Actually, they're in a weak division, so they should actually win their division. And they're a decent team. They're a good team. They're no slouch. And for Philly to dominate them the way they did was actually pretty impressive. But yeah, Philly, they kicked Tennessee's butt up and down that field.
So let's talk some common opponents here. I know Clashin's a big fan of talking about common opponents, aren't you?
Yep, huge fan. Huge fan.
He's the biggest fan about common opponents. So while we're on the topic of NFC East, we're gonna bring up the Cowboys and we're gonna bring up the Eagles. All right, we're gonna bring up some opponents here. So Cowboys just faced the Colts. Would you Shady? Would you tell me it was a blowout?
The Colts to the Cowboys?
Yes.
Yeah, it was a blowout.
Okay. All right. Well, the Eagles scooped by the Lions, not the Lions, but the Colts, 17-6 with a last-minute score to win the game. Is that a blowout?
No.
That's not a blowout. It's a
No.
comeback, actually. So yeah, we could compare games. What are your thoughts on having Colts, having the Eagles sneak by the Colts versus the Cowboys, just kind of blow them out in the fourth quarter there?
All right, who's going first?
Whoever wants to go first, y'all speak up.
I don't know. All right, all right. You asked for it. I'll go first. You asked for it. So, all right. So the Cowboys dominated the Colts. Yes. The Eagles, struggled versus the Colts. Yes. But in my opinion, it's two different situations. The Colts traveled to the Cowboys, and the Eagles traveled to the Colts. So two different atmospheres. One's enemy, one's friendly. And it's game plan. I mean, yes, you can compare it. The Cowboys had their way in the fourth quarter versus the Colts, and the Eagles couldn't do much of anything in the whole game versus the Colts. But like I said, I mean, if you want to compare teams, we'll go with the Steelers versus the Bengals, Bengals versus Chiefs. Are we saying the Steelers can beat the Chiefs? Are we Steelers Super Bowl team now?
No. When we're talking about relevance here, when I'm talking about common opponents, I'm not bringing up no Steelers. I'm not bringing up any Bengals. I'm talking about if I want to bring up relevance between common opponents, I'm going to bring up the Bengals and the Chiefs, or the Colts, not the Colts, but the Bills versus the Chiefs, or Bengals versus the Bills. Common opponents.
So, can we use the Packers as a common opponent? Because, I mean, the Eagles played the Packers and the Cowboys played the Packers. I mean, the Eagles beat the Packers by one score, so it wasn't like a blowout. But the Cowboys lost to the Packers by, one score. So, like, in my opinion, I just think it's all scheme. Like, certain teams play other teams harder. Certain coaches just know other coaches' play style. They just know what's coming, basically.
You got to play 60 minutes.
You do. I'm not saying that the Colts win over the Colts, or the Cowboys win over the Colts should be like thought less of. Like, the Cowboys did dominate the Colts. They 33 points in the fourth quarter is very, very impressive. And the Eagles did struggle against the Colts, which is embarrassing. But I just don't like comparing. Like, we got nothing. The Eagles can probably still beat the Cowboys, just like the Cowboys can still probably beat the Eagles. It really doesn't matter. Common opponents.
Shady, can you tell me why the football power index have the Cowboys have the best chance to win the NFC and the best chance to win the Super Bowl currently over the Eagles and the Chiefs?
Because Dallas is Dallas, and the media looks at Dallas like they're just so great, whatever, that Dallas just has
the media. You're going to tell me the media.
Yeah, I mean, that they wouldn't be mine. I mean, heck no. I mean, Philly is in the NFC in mine. So I mean, it's who you picking. I mean, it's who's writing the article. As far as that's concerned. But I mean, you also got to think of one other thing. When you're looking at this, Detroit versus Philly and Dallas versus Philly, or whatever that. The one thing that I noticed about Philly since they lost to the Commanders or the Redskins, that after they lost to the Redskins, they went out and they got Ndamukong Suh. And ever since they went out and got him, it has shored up that defensive line in the inside part of that defensive line. You also got to take into effect that injuries happen throughout the season. So every game is different. They're like fingerprints. Every single one of them is different in its own unique, characteristical way. And in the NFL, anything can happen on any given Sunday. So you can look at it like, okay, this team beat this team, but this team lost to this other team. So in theory, this other team should take out this team by a large margin. But when Sunday comes, they actually lose. Anything can happen, like Clashin said. I mean, one game was played at home versus two teams played it at one venue where the other teams played it at a completely different venue. So you can't really take it in the aspect of why did this team beat this team by this many points and this other team beat that team by only a few points, because things happen throughout the course of the season to all teams. Injuries, player signings, everything. So you got to take that, and you got to take that as basically a grain of salt when it comes to one team beating another team, and A beating B, but C only beat B by a little bit type of thing. You got to take it really with a grain of salt, because everything is happening. Every Sunday is different. Every game is different.
Okay, we'll move on into our. What are we moving on into, Clash? And tell me, we gotta have something going on. I believe
what are we
it's
moving
the.
on to?
I believe it's the.
the Steelers game.
No. What is? I just saw it.
Steelers Ravens.
My phone's messing up right now, for some reason. Okay, all right. Okay, AFC and NFC. I need y'all's top two teams. Top two teams is AFC and NFC. We'll go with Shady first.
AFC,
Shady
I'm gonna
first.
go. All right.
Okay, go ahead. What was that now?
Your top two AFC and NFC teams, in order.
My top two AFC teams are Cincinnati and Buffalo. And my top two NFC teams is Philadelphia, and second place, to me, is a tie between Dallas and Minnesota.
You put the Bengals over the Bills, even though you've had them at number one on your list in the NFL so far.
I did mean the Bills are number one. Bengals are number two. Sorry, I didn't mean it in a specific order, but in a specific order as far as AFC, yes, Bills number one, Bengals number two.
Caution. Who we got? AFC and NFC.
So we're gonna go with what Shady first said. I think it's Bengals number one, and then the Chiefs number two. Because I just feel like, I know the Bills did just have a bye week, so they could come out and be like dominant again. They've been struggling lately. I'm just not a fan of them right now. But for the NFC, I'm gonna stick with the Eagles as number one, because no one's really beating them. It doesn't matter how bad they play; they're still 11-1 or whatever. And then number two, I think it's easily the Cowboys. I don't see anyone else. There are some teams that could maybe beat them, but like in terms of right now, just how hot the Cowboys are, an easy number two for the Cowboys.
I'll go with my list. AFC, I'll have the Chiefs at number one and Bills at number two. Still, I'm still not fully committed on the Bengals yet. Even though I know that they just lost, the Chiefs just lost to the Bengals. I'm still not fully sold on them fully, but yeah, I'll go Chiefs and Bills. Dolphins, they dropped out of my list pretty heavily after that 49ers game. And for the NFC, I mean, you're gonna think I'm biased either way, no matter what I say.
We already know what you're about to say.
Yeah.
But I have reasoning for it. Okay, so I'll say I put the Cowboys number one and the Eagles number two. Why I put the Cowboys number one is because while Dak has been back, they have been leading the NFL in points per game, which is at 37 points per game. When has a team scored 37 points in the last 5 games average. And then their first on third down conversion while he's been back. The rushing attack is phenomenal. The defense, you just saw against the Colts, and what they could do, they could completely dismantle you that quick. Eagles, yeah, they're a good team. I mean,
Yeah,
I'm admitting they're a good
I
team.
get what you're saying, but I'm just gonna wait until the head-to-head game versus Cowboys versus Eagles. Because the Eagles do have one up on the Cowboys, which was totally different teams that happened a while ago. Which I'm still gonna put the Eagles number 1, and for the Cowboys number 2, I'm gonna say this. So if Baker Mayfield goes to the 49ers,
no, he got signed. The Rams picked him up.
Who? The Rams?
The Rams picked him up.
So our only hope is Aaron Rodgers to go to the Niners. Which that would be a good
trade
team
deadline. Trade deadline's over, so there's no reason.
Not during the season. That's not gonna happen during the season.
All right, so I guess we'll just. Oh, never mind. I'll keep the original too.
They got Brock Purdy. I mean, Mr. Irrelevant.
No, that's just like Cooper Rush. I mean, after a few weeks, the teams will figure him out. Which the Niners are still. I know we're kind of bringing up the Niners for no reason here, but the Niners are still a good team with any quarter. They're just like a. What is it called? I don't know. Their quarterback doesn't matter. There's a run team. It doesn't matter who the quarterback is.
All right, so that's like what Clashen did say. We can't really say anything or officially say any official takes because we have to wait until the Cowboys face the Eagles on Christmas Eve, which is 17 days away.
Yeah, I'll definitely be watching that game. Like you said, I mean, the Cowboys could shut out the Eagles like 40-0. Or it could be the other way around. The Eagles shut out the Cowboys. I mean, it could go any way. Both teams are pretty equal, in my opinion.
Yes, it's going to be a good game for sure. It's on Christmas Eve. A lot of people are going to be tuning in. I will for sure be tuning in because that's almost game of the year right there. Potential.
It probably will be the game of the year. It probably a lot of eyes will be on that game.
Especially if OBJ is signed, and that'll be probably the first real game that he could get in the groove with things and then just start going off. But just keep an eye on it. That'll be the first real test of seeing who can really take over this NFC. And what I proved to you the facts, while Dak's been back, they could score on you.
It's mediocre and bad defenses.
What was that?
Nothing.
No,
I said against mediocre and bad defenses, but
I think the winner of that game will be the favorite to win the Super Bowl because that's a big game late in the regular season. There'd be so much momentum coming off of whoever wins that game. It'll lead them pretty far in the playoffs.
I didn't know a top 8 defense such as the Colts was pretty mediocre, but we'll go with that. Anyways, we'll move on into our MinutePeach.com games of the week. We'll have the J&J 10 promo code. If you use that, you get 10% off on your first purchase. But the Steelers, their favorites. What? The Steelers versus the Ravens. What are we feeling about this game, guys? I know you're both Steelers fans.
So I've always said this: Steelers versus Ravens. It's gonna be close no matter what. Like it doesn't matter if one team's really bad, one team's really good. It's gonna be close no matter what because it's a rivalry game. It's gonna be close. But I was shocked when they said the Steelers are the favorite for once all season. We've never been favorites, so might have to watch this game now. So I'm shocked. I don't know if it's because Lamar Jackson's probably gonna miss this game. I do think the Ravens are still a better team, so I don't know why the Steelers are favored. Which the Steelers, their offense is coming along, coming off 2 big wins over the Falcons and the Colts. So, yeah, we're moving in the right direction. I mean, if we went out, that 1% chance could lead to a Super Bowl title.
It could.
I would love this. I would love to hope that you're right, man. I really do. I would love to. But the reason why I think the Steelers are favored is because they're playing at home. I mean, if you look at the Pittsburgh-Baltimore rivalry over the years, it seems like whoever is playing at home is the favored team. Because just like you said, it's each game is a slugfest. Even with Lamar Jackson probably going to be out this game, whoever the quarterback for the Ravens is going to be, it's still going to be a tight game. Probably going to come down to who has the ball last and who makes the least amount of mistakes. That's just the way Baltimore and Pittsburgh play each other. And I think it's just I think Vegas or whoever determines who's the favored, they just look at whoever's playing at home, and that's who they go with as far as the favorite. With these two teams.
You got to pick.
Oh, I'm going Pittsburgh all the way on this one. They're playing at home. No Lamar Jackson. Baltimore is not what they once were. They're I don't their defense certainly isn't as good as what they were expected to be. So I'm going with Pittsburgh at home.
I'm gonna make my pick too. Forgot to do that.
Go ahead, Clash.
So I'm gonna go the Steelers, and I think it's gonna be a different type of game this year, because usually it's like a low scoring, whoever has the ball last, gets the game-winning score. I think it's gonna be like a 31-27 kind of game.
A high-scoring game. Well,
yeah, I think it's gonna change
high-scoring
this year.
Okay.
Shady, do you not don't you think the Lamar Jackson injury plays a role in why the Steelers are favorites, and not just the home field advantage?
It's possible. Absolutely, that could have played a factor into it.
Same for you, Clash. You
but
think
here's the thing. I wouldn't say no, because look at last season when Lamar got hurt. I don't know, Huntley. He came in and the team didn't lose anything. They were still steamrolling teams. So Huntley is a very capable second string. He could do pretty much not everything as Lamar, because Lamar's special. But Huntley he's a mobile quarterback also, who can make some big plays if you don't watch out.
So what's a bigger shocker? You think it's because you think Steelers favoring the Ravens as a shocker, or the Lions favoring the Vikings as a shocker? Because the Lions are favorites over the Vikings currently.
That, to me, that's more of the most shocker right there. To me,
does that prove to you or give you any sense that the Vikings ain't really the best 10-2 team out there, or the record ain't really saying what they are?
No, I have no idea how the heck in the world Detroit is favored in this game and what the reasoning behind it is. I couldn't even begin to guess.
They just dropped the 40
Is there
bomb.
an injury?
No, they just dropped the 40 bomb on the Jags. And this isn't the first time that they're not favorites. I mean, they were underdogs against the Cowboys, and they were at home.
Yeah, but
maybe because they do have a potent. Maybe because they do have a potent offense is the reason why they're favored. I get it. I don't know.
Their defense is bad though. That's weird.
Yeah, the defense is horrible. It leaks like a sieve.
I think the Vikings can stop them. I don't know. That must be like a money play for Sportsbook. I mean, it's kind of tricky. I don't know what's going on.
I guess if they're favored, then they're definitely going to be playing in Detroit.
That was like when Miami was an underdog versus the Bengals. Like right after Miami came off of that win versus the Bills, and they were underdogs versus the Bengals.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't that the game where he got concussion? Tua?
Oh yeah, he got knocked out twice on primetime TV. Yeah.
Yeah, that was the second time. That was the
1-2 punch right there. Boom, boom, boom.
Yeah, that was scary. Actually, that was really scary.
He was throwing up gang signs like this with his fingers. All right, so I'll do my pick. My pick's gonna be interesting, because Huntley's not a bad QB. He's very good. He's filled in the role for Lamar last year pretty decent. I'll probably go with the Steelers here. I think because they're on a good winning streak, and they know that basically their season's on line, so they're gonna have to keep rolling, or they're just playing desperate at this point, and they have to get those wins, no matter what it's gonna cost them. So I'm gonna go with the Steelers on this
and
one.
I know Pickens has been pretty fired up all week about getting the ball 0 times in their last game versus Falcons.
Yeah,
so
I
maybe
think
he might
like
be
one
included
target
in the game plan this week.
I would hope so, but I'm gonna take this one game off of the list. I don't. That's a bad
That's
bad
the Thursday
game.
night game.
Yeah, this Thursday night game is not appealing to me at all. The Raiders versus the Rams.
It's the defending Super Bowl champs versus the Raiders, who are
The what,
Bottom
3-9? Are they
three.
like 3-9?
Yeah, the 3-9 defending Super Bowl champs against like the 5-7 Vegas Raiders.
Who just signed Baker Mayfield? The
Yeah.
Super
Did
Bowl.
they pick up Baker?
Yes, the Rams picked up Baker Mayfield on waivers just a couple hours ago. But I'm gonna take that game off the list, and then we're gonna go into the next big game. Mike White, the Jets versus the Bills. No, Mike White, he put on a good game against the Bills. Not the Bills, Vikings. They almost came back and won it.
He had a lot of passing yards, but no passing touchdowns.
The receiver dropped it
it was a
at the
good
end,
game.
right at the end.
Yeah.
But do you have faith in Mike White again over the Bills?
I do.
Josh
but
Allen and the Bills.
Like I was saying with all these backups, like after a while, teams will figure you out. It's like, will the Bills have enough tape on Mike White to be able to see what he likes to throw in certain situations? It's only been like the second week, right?
Yeah, this was the second game Mike White has started as quarterback.
So there's still a little bit of hope in Mike White. The Jets do have a really good defense. I'm gonna go Jets. The Jets are a good team. I'm gonna go Jets.
They did upset them earlier in the season. They beat the Bills for the first game.
This is a huge game. Like, if the Jets do win this game, like the Bills, like shockingly, could finish third in their division. Like, who would have thought that in Week 4?
I don't know. I don't think they could because the Jets are 7-5
Jets
currently.
are 2 games. Yeah, the Jets would be what, 1 game behind them now, and then whoever's in second place in their division, who is that right now? Dolphins. The Dolphins are currently 2 back or 3 back.
One
so
back.
if the Bills lose, that would put them all within 1 game, 2 games of each other. Like, it's doable.
Yeah, they're kind of all bunched up, but
And the
Jets are
Dolphins
gonna
have
to.
them with a tiebreaker, and then the Jets would have more of a tiebreaker. So it's very close.
But the Bills still have to face the Dolphins one more time, so it's not a full tiebreaker.
Yeah, so it's not full. But the Jets already beat them once, so they would have it guaranteed. And then it would come down to the Dolphins versus Bills. I mean, the Dolphins beat the Bills. The Bills could be third in their division. They might miss the playoffs. You never know.
No. That all right. We're not going crazy talk here. But I did have the Jets versus the Bills as the MinutePeach.com games of the week a couple weeks ago, and I did pick the Jets, and y'all were calling me crazy. Now the roles are reversed, and now you're picking the Jets, clashing.
Yeah, I've seen the Jets on TV now. I have some hope.
I have some hope. All right, Shady, who do you got? Wait, I didn't even get. Did you pick who's gonna win? Oh, it's the Jets, right?
Yeah, Jets.
Okay, all right, Shady.
Jets.
Yeah, you went with the Jets. Yeah, I'm going with Buffalo on this. Buffalo gets their revenge on the Jets. The Jets beat them a couple weeks ago. That's going to be in the back of Buffalo's mind. They're playing in Buffalo in their home crowd. They're going to come out pissed off, losing to the Jets before. They're not going to let it happen again. Bills take this one.
And they're coming off a bye week, so this could be a slaughter.
Could be a slaughter, Gabe. It could be a Bills versus Steelers slaughter where Gabe Davis is just going off. Do you remember that game?
Yeah, I remember first quarter of that game. Very, very ugly.
Yep.
Very ugly.
That's how it could be, but I have faith in Mike White. I think Mike White's going to get it done. Not enough tape is on him yet, so we're going to go with the Jets. Next game we're going to move on to is the Eagles versus the Giants. A big division game for the Eagles and the Giants.
Yeah.
So
both teams. Yeah, both teams.
Shady, give us your insight and your pick.
I'm I'm gonna go with Philly on this one. Um, Philly, like I said, since they lost to the Redskins, they signed Ndamukong Suh, shore up that defensive line. Um, Teams aren't able to run um on Philly like they were able to do before Sue signed in Philly. Um, the Giants, they started hot. They started off really, really well. But over the past month, during the course of an NFL season, teams either get better and get hot as the season goes on, or they stay basically level and the same, like a 500 team throughout the whole season, or they get worse as the season goes on. And I've just seen that the Giants in that latter category, as far as starting hot, off to a great start, getting some good wins, some big wins. But over the past month, man, they weren't they're just not the team that they were in September and October. So I'm going with Philly on this one. I think Philly's is a better team all the way around, and I think that they show it this week.
All right, clashing.
Yeah, I do think Philly is gonna win this one pretty easily, and then maybe we'll have another common opponent for the Dallas and Dallas and Eagles to compare, because the Cowboys didn't really destroy the Giants, so if the Eagles can destroy the Giants, it's just another common opponent we can compare next week. So we're going Eagles.
Okay. I can't wait till we get to the actual Cowboys versus Eagles game, because we could shut up about common opponents, because all we have is, I mean, in reality, yes, we have that one game, but it's not the game that we could really look on and be like, yeah, everybody's 100% and Eagles definitely favorite. But once this common opponent stuff is over and it's head to head for one final time for the regular season, who knows, they can meet up back in the playoffs. But for the Giants and the Eagles, I'm going to go with the Giants on this one. I'm going to be the biggest Giants fan out there, and let's hope they can steal one. I believe they're at home. I think they're in New York. So they're going to have the fans on their side. And they faced a tough Washington team with a tie, but back-to-back division games, Cowboys and Washington. They played tough in both of them. If they could sneak this one out, they can get their confidence back up and make a run towards the end of the season. So we'll go with the Giants on this one. And for the next game and final game, we're going to go with the Dolphins versus the Chargers on Sunday Night Football. Shady?
Oh boy, I'm going with the Dolphins on this one. Chargers kind of like the same as what I was saying with the Giants. Man, they started off. They got a couple good wins there. They look good, but over the past several weeks, just haven't been what they were. Dolphins, on the other hand, they're a good team. They got beat by San Francisco, which is a very good team in themselves. Man, San Francisco is no slouch. But I like McDaniel. I like Tua. Um, I like Hill, who's still tearing it up down there in Miami. Yeah, I see the Dolphins getting back on the winning track this week.
All right, Clash. We got the Dolphins versus the Chargers. Dolphins coming off a loss versus the 49ers. And the Chargers are well. I think the Chargers lost their last game versus the Raiders.
Did they lose to the Raiders?
I believe so. I'll have to check. But
All right.
I think both teams are coming off a loss.
I don't think it matters. I'm gonna go with the Dolphins. Dolphins are probably just a better team. The Chargers, I mean, they started off the season like they were supposed to be like the team to compete against, the Bengals, the Chiefs, the Bills, and then it just kind of just fell off earth. Now they're just that average team. I don't know if it's because their quarterback has broken ribs or what, but they're just not relevant. So I'm gonna go Miami, which they are. Miami might be without Waddle, so they could be a little limited, but they should still win this pretty easily.
Yeah, I see Miami coming out of this as well. I believe they're going to come out of this last game versus a tough 49ers defense and get back on the right track. Chargers ain't really doing all too well this season, and I think this is their get well game for the Dolphins and get back on track. But any last thoughts and opinions on this past week of football?
Last week of football. Do you want to talk a little bit of college? I mean, we had some,
talk some college.
Final Four teams.
Yes, we have the college football playoffs with Georgia ranked number 1, Michigan ranked number 2, TCU ranked number 3, and Ohio State getting back in the top 4, finish off the top 4. And Alabama missing it out barely at number 5 and Tennessee number 6. So, clashing. How do you feel about Bama not making it into the playoffs?
As a realist, I mean, it was the right call. I mean, Bama isn't the best team in the country. They're not even. I wouldn't even put them top 8. That's how they're.
But would you have them favored? Like how Saban would try to. Saban tried to proceed his case. Well, if you put him against TCU, who's favored?
I mean, I get what he's saying. It's Nick Saban. It's Bryce Young. It's Alabama, the best program in all of college football. I think they would be favored, but I don't think they're the better team. I think they're just favored because of who they are, not by what they do on the field. That's why you see a lot of players this week transferring because they know the program's going down a little bit.
I would transfer to either Georgia or Colorado.
Colorado's. You might.
From what I'm hearing, they're saying this portal they haven't seen anything like this with thousands of players trying to transfer because they want to go where they could either make the most money or Coach Prime.
I kind of hope there's a TV show on this, like Hard Knocks or something on Colorado. Coach Prime just seems. I don't even know why it's called Coach Prime. Well, who named
Prime time? He's prime time.
Their schedule. I don't know if I share this. They have a tough schedule. I don't see them winning 5 games. They're playing some top teams like TCU next season. It's a tough schedule.
Shady, any thoughts about Coach Prime going to Colorado and college football playoffs?
Well, as far as Coach Prime going to Colorado, I mean, we'll see how he does. I mean, he turned Jackson State around. Jackson State had a undefeated season this year. So he knows what he's doing. He knows football. And just because he's who he is, it's going to bring in players. It's going to help recruiting. So we might not see, obviously building a team, especially building a program in college, takes time. So I don't know if we'll see a night and day type of difference between this year and next year when he in his first full year with Colorado, but we'll see how it pans out over the course of the next couple of years when they're able to do some recruiting and see what kind of players are able to recruit just because of who he is. As far as the college playoffs, I'm going to look at Michigan and TCU as being the game of games. Really, I think those two teams are very, very evenly matched. I think that's going to be a heck of a game. I think that could come down to who has the ball last, and I mean that looks like it's I mean almost basically the a championship game, the national championship game in itself. So I'm really looking forward to seeing a really, really good game between Michigan and TCU. And I'm just really, really looking forward to Georgia just wiping the stadium and wiping the turf with Ohio State, because I've never liked Ohio State. I can't stand Ohio State. So I'm
Are you
going
saying
to
that out of
enjoy every second.
Are you
Hmm?
saying that out of pity, or you actually think that Georgia will wipe the floor?
No, I
Because
actually
Ohio
think that
State
no,
ain't really
I
that. Go ahead.
I know. I don't think Ohio State's as good as what everybody's made them out to be, because the Big Ten is not the SEC. I mean, it's not.
No, I'm a Penn State
I
fan.
mean, your three teams in the Big Ten are Michigan, Ohio State, and Penn State. Okay. I honestly think that Georgia is a much better team, hands down, all the way, much better than Ohio State and Michigan. I think Ohio State I'm sorry. I think should take the national title, because I think Georgia is just the best team in college football, all the way across the board, hands down. Um, so I don't I mean I hope that Michigan beats TCU, and it's a Michigan Georgia national championship game, because I think that would be the best game, the best matchup. Um, because I just think Georgia's that much better than the rest of the college football teams out there, really. Um, but yeah, I mean, I don't like, regardless of me really not liking Ohio State, I just really honestly think that Georgia is that much better than Ohio State.
Thoughts on it, clashing?
So I would like to see Georgia versus Michigan, but I think the championship game is going to be Ohio State versus Michigan. In my opinion, I do think Ohio State is as good as what teams or people are saying. They just had a, I don't know. I'm a Big Ten fan, so I'm just hoping for Ohio State or Michigan to get it done. So yeah.
All right, we'll wrap up that section and we're wrapping up the show. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you here next week.